All right, well, let's kick this off. As LeBron James, Dylan, you get the first pick.
A couple ways to go about this. I'm just gonna go the way of choosing the best player. So I'm gonna take Kawhi.
That's boring.
That is very boring.
Yep,
There's no
I
follow-up,
did
there's
it.
no explanation. It's just, all right, he's the best player. We'll take him.
Yeah, he's the best player. Like, what? I don't want him guarding LeBron. I'd like to see anyone try to guard him. So I'm gonna take the incredibly boring strategy of choosing the best players.
Fine, be like,
I'm going to take I guess, fairly obvious pick, and I'm going to take Steph Curry. We've seen in recent All-Star games that threes do count more than twos, and defense is optional. So I'm going to go with Steph Curry and hope he gives me 30 points in 20 minutes.
that math does check out. Three is worth more than two.
Hope that him and somebody on Dylan's team get into who was it? Tim Hardaway Jr. and Deion Waiters 3-point contest during the middle of the All-Star game, or that was the Rising Stars Challenge back in 2013 or 14. But hope that we just get some Jimmer range threes being dropped by Curry, and I think he has the better chance to hit successful ones than anyone that Dylan will take. I'd rather have Curry taking my threes rather than Giannis. I don't want him taking any threes if I was the coach.
Just quickly before we go on, who do we think the actual first picks will be? Who do you imagine they'll actually take, Nate?
So Giannis and Curry had a moment a few All-Star games ago where Curry fake laid down in front of Giannis. So I think that's a very realistic pick for Giannis. LeBron, I never have a good feeling for because I always think that LeBron would try to pick someone to tamper with. Like last year, he picked AD. Giannis called him on tampering. But there's not really that guy there this year. So maybe LeBron takes Luka first. Him and Luka kind of have a nice relationship.
I don't think there's any chance LeBron takes Kawhi.
Yeah, that's not happening.
I don't think that's happening.
I think he's just smart enough to know that he doesn't want Kawhi on the other team and that Kawhi is the best player. I think he can, just like choosing Durant last year, I think he can sacrifice his own ego enough to satisfy his ego by winning.
So I heard an interesting thing that he has always selected Kyrie Irving whenever he's been doing these drafts. So that might be something I'd watch out for. It also just means he won't pick Curry.
I think he could take Kyrie, but I don't think he's taking Kyrie in the first round. That's for sure. If he does, that would be fantastic for Team Giannis.
Yeah, I think just more abstractly, it'd be interesting to see how, these sort of interpersonal rivalries, whether they end up on different teams. So like LeBron and Kyrie or LeBron and Steph and Giannis and Harden, all these sorts of things. I hope that we get that convenient split where they have to go against each other. I want Harden locking down Giannis for the game winner again.
You don't want defensive. You're not going with James Harden for your defense there?
No, if we just skip to my pick, I'm going to use my third overall pick and complete my front court with Joel Embiid, who's been playing at MVP level this year, and I think is a guy who LeBron would like to play with.
Yeah, well, LeBron is number one in MVP voting right now. Or not MVP voting, but in MVP odds, I should say. And Embiid is number 2, and Giannis is number 4. So I think it's fitting for me to take who is number 3, and that's Jokic. So I'm going to take Jokic with my 4th overall pick.
All right. Now I need some guards, so I'm going to do the very LeBron thing and take Kyrie Irving.
This is really painful because if it was me, it would be a no thought 100%er. The odds would be minus 50,000 that I would be taking Brad Beal, but I have to be smarter, and so I will take Luka.
And just for the listeners, I believe it was announced that Tatum is the replacement starter for Durant. So Tatum is going to be our 10th starter.
Yep. And I'll let Derek take Tatum as the final pick, and I'll take his guy, real deal Bradley Beal.
That is all too unfortunate, but I will take Tatum with pride, and it's all right. I really wanted Beal, though.
So as things stand, we got LeBron, Kawhi, Embiid, Kyrie, and Beal. Not much defense in that backcourt. Versus Giannis, Jokic, Tatum, Luka, and Curry. Still questionable on the defensive side in that backcourt. But how are you guys feeling about your starters?
It's an all-star game, Nate.
Yeah, I was gonna say the theory that I should have stuck to my guns and passed on Luka and taken Beal. I would have gotten Tatum either way, and Luka can definitely light up the scoreboard too. But, last year we had 312 points. The year before that, we had 342 points. The year before that, we had 293. So defense is clearly optional at this point. And my strategy going in was optimally I would have had Curry and Beal in the backcourt and just hope they take 27 threes combined. So
In the first half.
yeah, in the first half, yeah. Giannis will have 2 field goal attempts. He'll probably be 0 for 2. And Curry and Beal would have 17 three-pointers on 29 attempts, just launching them. As soon as you take one step over half court, just throw it and see what happens. 248 possessions per, nice little pace.
I mean, there's a chance you get a little bit of back and forth now with having Beal and Curry on the other side. You could get that shootout.
Adapt the NBA 2K 7 seconds or less offense into about 2.5 seconds or less.
Just dueling half-court shots.
Like when I think it was LaMelo Ball, like 3-4 years ago, maybe 2 years ago, had like a 96 point game in high school or something. And it is just because he was never going to his defensive side of half court. He was literally just standing on the offensive side of half court the entire game, and his team would get the rebound. The 6'10" center who's somehow 15 years old would grab the rebound and just baseball throw it down to LaMelo. I think that would be my strategy here. Would be Beal and Kyrie are just good scorers. You got Kawhi, LBJ, and Joel. There's no point in playing defense, so let's just send Giannis down there to get the rebound or inbound the ball. Just leave everybody else up in the front court.
You joke about that. You joke about that strategy, but there was actually a suggestion made a couple years back by Vivek Ranadive. I'm pretty positive it was him, had suggested the idea of playing defense 4-on-5 and having one guy at the other end of the court at all times as just guaranteed buckets.
You want to know where he got it?
Yeah.
It was Vivek. He got it from coaching his girls' 6th grade basketball team because they'd employed a cherry picking strategy and they won some 6th grade girls' championship. And so he's like, this will, of course, translate the NBA.
Yeah, the correlation there is just, I'm sure the R-squared value on that correlation is very close to 1.
Yeah, that just sums up everything you need to know about owners' decision-making, that it's just all personal, anecdotal, weird stuff. Like, this worked for my daughter's 6th grade team. This will work for us. I went to this college. He'll be good for us.
Hey, just in case things don't work out with Luke Walton, because they're not working out with Luke Walton, you got Vivek, who could become the first owner coach.
Yeah, that would go over great.
Hey, I sign your paychecks. Do what I say. Runs play.
Oh, yeah, exactly. I own this team. And therefore I own you. And then he would be the next Donald Sterling.
I was going to make a joke like, hey, Bagley, stop playing defense, but there's no one on that team that plays defense that he can yell at anyway. They already kind of employ that strategy.
Yeah, they kind of just mail it in on the defensive end.
Anyway, enough Kings hate. Let's get to forcing me to select a undeserving All-Star.
Yeah, you get the first pick of the bench reserves.
Actually, no, Giannis gets the first pick of the reserves.
I was just going to say, don't I get to go first here?
Yep.
Well, if I was drafting a fun team, I'd probably draft Zion and just try to throw him lobs all game. But I've been a fan of his for years and gotten a lot of hate for it. His stat padding and all this stuff. And I'm actually not talking about Westbrook this time. I'm going to take James Harden.
I thought you were about to go Zach LaVine on us.
No comment from there. That pick kills me for 2 reasons. One, I really wanted Harden, and also I wanted Harden against Giannis. So that doubly kills me. But as I was saying, thinking about my closing 5, I don't really want Bradley Beal out there. He's not quite on that caliber of player, so I'm going to get the trusty hand of Chris Paul as my first pick off the bench to close out my starting 5. My finishing 5, my closing 5.
Really? I expected you to go Paul George there. I was like, he's sitting right there for you.
Yeah, with already having LeBron, Kawhi, and Embiid, I don't really know if he'll be closing, so I've got a position of need at closing guard, and Chris Paul's one of the best closers in the game, and we saw him close last year, and so I have faith in him there. So I'll use my first pick on LeBron's good friend Chris Paul.
All right,
that's fine by me because I will also be taking a closing guard. Even though I already have 3 guards, if you count Luka as a guard. But when I think of closing guard in an all-star game, I think of just a guy who will almost assuredly get me 3 points, whether it's from 40 feet behind the line, and hoping that you take Paul George, and Paul George has to guard him, as we've seen before. I will take Damian Lillard.
Yeah, I knew that was going to be your pick so much I typed it in before you even
Yep.
had finished. Now it gets a little bit tricky.
Remember, you guys can always select one of the guys that was not selected. There's still Chris Middleton sitting out there. There's Bam Adebayo. There's Mike Conley, the other subs, Jimmy Butler.
Jimmy G buckets.
Trae Young,
Right.
if I want to continue my offense, no defense play.
Yeah. I'll just go back to my strategy of picking the best player available. So I'll grab Paul George.
I was going to try to drill in and ask if you really do believe Paul George is the best guy out there, but I don't know who I would offer is better than him. Maybe Donovan Mitchell?
I think the only argument is a guy that I don't want to give away because I want to grab him soon. So I'll tell you about it when we get there.
Okay.
I'm going to go down the board here a little bit. I don't think this is what will happen in real life. I don't think this guy will be, one of the first. It's the 15th guy, 13th guy taken. But I'm looking at my team, and I think my average height right now is somewhere around 6'4", 6'5", and I see that Dylan has LeBron, Kawhi, and Joel. So that could be problematic. Jokic is not the best big man defender, and neither is this guy in terms of big man defenders. I'd say, I'd probably go Gobert if I really wanted that, but I'm going to go all the way down the board and take Nikola Vucevic.
I do love some Vu.
I love me some Vucevic. I was very happy to see him having a great year this year and also being a all-star. If somebody like Bam Adebayo got in instead, I would have been very upset.
All right, I'm going to go continue to be big and versatile and take the young king, the fresh prince, Ben Simmons.
Yeah, I had crossed it out before. Once you said the word versatile and big, I was like, okay, yep, that's great. His team gets taller, my team gets shorter.
It's also just a LeBron move. He's picked Simmons most of the years. They're both clutch guys.
Yep.
Makes sense.
Just wait till I bring KCP in with my wildcard selection.
No, you should bring in J.R. Smith.
Yeah, I'm bringing JR.
Bring in the main man, J.R. Smith. Nobody's better at taking those 75-foot buzzer beaters than J.R. Smith.
Or taking the 2-foot buzzer beater and running out 40 feet and just not shooting it.
Yeah, and just I need to shoot the ball. This is basketball. I need to shoot. Oops.
Yeah, buzzer beater and JR, they just don't seem to go together in my mind. He's more of a buzzer loser.
I'd like to see him back on the floor taking some threes so he can do the windmill, and then there's the best celebration of all time when he was with the Knicks back in the day. All right. Well, let's see. What does my team? I'm going to go with Jaylen Brown. Maybe some familiarity having played with Jason Tatum. We get both of them on the floor. They can have a little, Klay Thompson, Steph Curry-esque Splash Bros type moment. Maybe they can get out there and use their team chemistry and help my team not lose by 40 points.
Yeah, and Brown might even close for you with me having the option of playing either 2 or 3 elite big wings. You don't really have anyone to defend that, so Brown might be even a closer.
Yep.
I mean, you could play 4 large wings if you put Simmons at point, Simmons, LeBron backcourt with Kawhi, Paul George, and then Embiid out there.
Yeah, I was looking at the board in terms of wing players, and I did not want to get to the point where I had to have to trust someone like Zach LaVine, so I figured I'd go out and get Jaylen Brown while I can.
All right, so this was the guy I was talking about earlier, Nate, as the one player that on the reserves that I think has the best argument of being better than Paul George.
Wait, Rudy Gobert?
You got it.
Yeah.
Perpetually underrated Rudy Gobert.
Criminally underrated.
Yeah, seeing people make arguments for Donovan Mitchell as MVP is just like big Derrick Rose vibes of you reward the best offensive player for a great defensive team. Although they are a good offense as well. But I think Gobert is the best player on that team.
The Donovan Mitchell for MVP thing, just who was it that said that? Paul Pierce, I think. He had his top 3.
Some idiot former player analyst.
Yeah, well, I mean that could be Paul Pierce, that could be Jalen Rose, that could be a lot of guys. But
Kendrick Perkins.
In terms, oh geez, yeah, Twitter beef, man. In terms of MVP voting or MVP odds, Donovan Mitchell's not even in the top 10. So I think that's just an absolutely way out there, get people to click on this link and get some page views type pick.
Exactly the type of stuff we should be running so that we can really boost our numbers.
The Skip Bayless method. Just say something ridiculous.
Put in the podcast title, All-Star Draft and Donovan Mitchell MVP talk.
And then if people will listen and they'll be like, "Oh, they're just shitting on Donovan Mitchell." Okay,
Yeah.
cool. That's what I was hoping.
Right. Who's your it's interesting. We still have 3 players from the West, 3 players from the East. I kind of was expecting a little bit more lopsided picking, but you guys have been pretty even going West-East or East-West.
Yeah, real quick, one thing that I've noticed is it's a very good thing that they're not just going West-East, because I think the West would absolutely destroy the East.
Oh yeah.
Especially
It
as you
would
get
not be
deeper into the bench.
Yeah.
Well, it is the All-Star game, and as we've seen in years past, like I've said before, defense is optional, and highlight plays almost always happen. So I will take the high-flying, very exciting to watch Zion Williamson and hope he does some, ridiculous 360 slam dunks and breaks the backboard or something. But it almost feels like in years past, or when you watch the All-Star game, there are moments where the players will specifically not play defense, like will just give up on the play because they know that the player they just let blow by them is going to go up and absolutely throw it down. So I'm hoping that Zion has some of those moments, fast break Zion just starts running down the court, cherry picking, and no one even chases him, and he goes down and, hey, I'll take 2 points with 100% efficiency.
Yeah, teams almost do that to him now, just like see him start to drive and just get out the way.
Yep.
So to amplify that to an all-star level, we'll see some cool stuff.
Yeah, no one's going to take a charge. That's not happening.
No. No one's getting in the paint and taking a charge in the All-Star game. That will definitely not be a thing.
Yeah, Kyle Lowry's not on the team this year.
But he could be in this
He
draft.
could be. For now, I'm going to add. I've got a pretty good defensive team, I think, with Simmons and Gobert and Kawhi and Embiid, PG and LeBron. So I'm going to get a scorer.
Please do it.
To pair with his backcourt mate Chris Paul, I'm going to take Devin Booker.
Oh,
Injury
really?
replacement.
I had already moved Donovan Mitchell over to your side.
well, you can
Yeah,
move him
that's-
back over to my side because that's my pick.
Yeah.
Because I want absolutely no part of 2 of the guys left on here.
So wait, I just got to ask: would you have both chosen Booker over Mitchell, or what's the debate here?
I was hoping he would take Zach LaVine,
Naturally.
but Dylan and I have very similar viewpoints on Zach LaVine, so that was a false hope, like my Wizards' dreams of being successful. But I probably would have taken Booker purely out of bias for having lived in Phoenix.
Dylan, what was your deciding factor there?
Obviously, those guys are pretty close, but I think Booker is a slightly better player, and I want to run him with Chris Paul. I think Devin Booker is like a future all-star MVP. It's just a guy who will get hot one day and light it up. I think he has a little bit more volatility, I guess, than Mitchell. But they are very close.
Okay. Well, who are you going with your next pick then?
Now, here's where it gets tough. I'm looking at these remaining guys, and this is sort of where the argument for a deeper all-star team kind of falls apart. That once you get 10 guys in, the drop off from there to the next guys is pretty significant. So maybe I'll pull someone in. I'm gonna get one more bench creator. Looking at my roster, maybe lacking a little bit of on-ball creation. So I'm gonna pull in from the snub list the biggest all-star snub in my opinion, Trae Young.
I like it. That's why I wanted to offer you guys up the snub list to just re-snub some of the selected all-stars. So just so the listeners are aware, we're selecting Trae Young before Randall, before Levine, and before the Disney Prince Sabonis.
So, Nate, for clarification, are we just leaving 2 of the actual All-Stars off our team, or are we just adding 1 extra player to our team?
I was thinking adding 1 extra.
I think it's going to come down to Dylan's going to get stuck with Zach LaVine, so I'm fine with keeping them on.
Okay.
In that case, I'm going to go with Domantas Sabonis.
Sabonis started the year so strong and fell off. I know his recent stats have been good of late. I think it was 24, 11, and 7 past 2 weeks. But yeah, Sabonis really needs another offensive weapon because his best attribute is his passing. He's a good rebounder. He's a good scorer. but losing Oladipo really tanked him.
Oh, he's got what's this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 players around him. So in the All-Star game, I think he can. I think he'll be a valuable part of my team. Plus, looking at my team, the second tallest guy on my bench up until this point is 6'6". So I figured a little bit more height wouldn't hurt.
Do you think Vucevic just breaks down and cries when he starts playing this game? Like, these are guards. I'm playing with an actual point guard. I'm playing with Dame Lillard and Steph Curry. This is so magical.
If I set a screen, someone will actually create an offensive opportunity. I don't have to create everything myself. Someone will pass me the ball with a scoring opportunity.
Well, who is it down there with him? Is it Terrence Ross off the bench?
Yep, Terrence Ross, a tremendous passing player.
Yeah, he's absolutely lethal in the passing game. His playmaking is an A plus. If we were playing 2K, he's out of control. I'm sure he's got all the Galaxy badges when it comes to playmaking.
Well, they've been starting Al-Farouq Aminu and James Ennis next to him. Yeah. Michael Carter-Williams is their star point guard. It's been truly miserable in Orlando after a really fun start with Fultz.
Yeah, I can't imagine Vucevic is having very much fun. I'm sure one of the only positives that he looks at is that the state of Florida has no income tax. So I'm sure he's happy about that. If he was in a more miserable place to be alive, like, I don't know, Minnesota, he'd probably just retire on the spot.
Yeah. Hey, he's I'm sure Ainge will be tuning in and watching very closely, having Vucevic playing with Brown and Tatum. I think that's where Vuce would like to be.
I don't know. They just came out and had a press conference and kind of said they're not really going to use that trade exception. And Boston's not a contender, according to Danny Ainge and everyone else.
It's a very Ainge move to have this massive trade exception and not use it. Right, let's take a break real quick. This is really just to prepare myself for having to take Zach LaVine. I need to emotionally prepare.
Yeah, you need to go take a break.
Well, I do believe it is your pick, Mr. Williamson, with a few members left on the board.
Yeah, so who am I missing? Do you want to run down the options, Nate?
Yeah, you have two options.
Julius Randle or Zach LaVine?
Right, because I've picked an extra guy. Right.
Mm-hmm. Doesn't matter who you pick because you're getting both of them.
That's true.
Actually doesn't matter who you pick because you're getting both of them.
Then I'll pick both Julius Randle and Zach LaVine.
You'll take Julius Randle first, though. You'll take Julius Randle first, though. Make sure Zach LaVine's the last pick.
Yeah. We got to know who's in that finals spot.
Mystery irrelevant. Last spot in the draft number 60.
All right. I'm going to shock you all and take Zach LaVine instead of Randle. I think LaVine is an undeserving all-star, but I think Randle is even worse. It's a little bit tough because I kind of wanted to go with a bigger guy. My team's a little bit small. It's got a lot of scoring wings as it ended up. Maybe I should have brought in a defensive player. Yeah. That's pretty...
Wait a minute, you got Simmons and Gobert. You don't need defense.
Yeah, but I've also got Booker, Young, LaVine, Irving, and Beal. Like, if you want a 5-man offense, chuckers, no passing, there's a unit for you. But let me just say, with all of the hate that I've been throwing to Zach LaVine, I don't think he's a bad player. I think he is unqualified for the role that he's been given. I think as a third guy on a good team who can just focus on getting buckets, he could be a really good player, and that's what he's going to be on this team. You know, we can run him with Kyrie or with Chris Paul or with LeBron, with a point guard that can create for him, and he can just focus on scoring. And so I think he's actually not a bad player in this format. He's just asked to do more than what he's capable of. And so for the first time in years, I'm going to say some nice things about Zach LaVine and not take him with my last pick. I'll take him with the second to last pick in honor of LaVine.
Well then, who's going to be your last?
I am between three players, two who absolutely deserve to be in the All-Star game and one who I don't think was talked about literally at all for the All-Star game. But I think in this format, I think he would provide fantastic value to the team, considering that looking at Dylan's team, they will be taking a lot of shots and at probably a decent rate considering they're all-stars, but I'm seeing a lot of three-pointers and around 40%, 39%, 38%. You're talking a lot of misses. So it's tempting to take my boy. I've been a big fan of his since he was in Houston. It's real tempting to take Clint Capella, not gonna lie. Number 1 in the league in rebounds, number 4 in the league in blocks. Really tempting to take him because as Beal and Kyrie and especially Paul George, Devin Booker, Trae Young, as those guys just launch threes all day, I think Capella could put up 15 and 15 in about 15 minutes. Just stick him under the basket and just have him grab all the rebounds.
You already
But
have
that,
like three centers.
yeah, that feels like a incredibly inefficient use of my pick. So I guess that was just me giving Clint Capella a little bit of airtime.
Shout out
Um,
Capella.
so it's between Bam and Butler for me. I like Bam personally more than Jimmy Butler, but with Giannis and Jokic and Vucevic and Zion and Sabonis, I'm gonna go with Jimmy Butler. I think the difference that he makes in Miami when he was out versus when he's back has been really telling of just how valuable of a player he is. Plus, I'd love to see he's definitely got a little bit of personality to him, and I'd love to see like him and CP3 just get into an absolute brawl at center court or something.
Yeah,
There's
that's a
also a
good pick.
chance he could close the game for you.
Yeah, I think if Dylan would have, Ben Simmons and Kawhi and LeBron and all those big players on the floor, I really don't want Luka out there for that. He's not the best defender, even though I'd probably have to have him out there. Lillard probably not, Harden probably not.
Why don't we finish with that?